All right, in this video, we're going to go over ratios and proportions. Our essential question is how do we solve proportions? And before we do that, we need to discuss what's a ratio. So a ratio is an expression that compares two quantities. So oftentimes those quantities will look similar to this, like a fraction, right? Now remember that that is equivalent to a ratio written like this. So know that those two are interchangeable, and if you need to change them, that's how you do it. Now, sometimes ratios are extended. We get a really long one. And that's known as an extended ratio. And when you work with ratios, you usually try to get them into the simplest form, and if possible, change them so that they have the same units. All right? And then we have what's called a proportion. It is when two ratios are equal to each other. All right? That will be a proportion. And when we work with proportions, we're going to use this new property called the cross products property. Some of you have maybe heard it as cross multiplication. Formally, it's this theorem or this property, but I'll show you over here how it works. So if we have two ratios equal to each other, then this expression or this equation can be rewritten. And it works both ways. So you can see here, we took A times the D and B times the C. And that's where we get that expression that it's a cross product. Right? And so that's where we get the cross product. It's the shape or the cross that gets made as we rewrite it. So let's take a look at some examples here. Right? If we have a ratio and we need to simplify, we need to get it into the same units. If you recall, 1 foot equals 12 inches. So I'm going to quickly convert 7 feet into inches. And then take that value and substitute it. And then now simplify if I need to. So it looks like 7. Looks like a 2 goes into that. So we got 6 inches to 1 inch. So there is our answer. Over on the next one, same deal. If we can get it in the same units, that'd be fantastic. So we know that, right? We know 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. So I need to convert this 9 meters into centimeters. 900 centimeters. So this guy is going to replace here. Right, and then simplify it. And here's our final result. Now again, you might be like, yep, doesn't that simplify to be 1? The answer is sure in algebraic terms, but since here we're just simplifying ratios, we want to make sure we keep that idea of comparing quantities. Here we've got a little higher level question. Right? A talent show features dancers and singers, and the ratio of dancers to singers 3 to 2. There are 30 performers total. How many singers are there? Well, if we know that they're in ratio of, we'll have actually X represent the number of performers. Right? We know that there are in total 30 performers. Okay? And there are two types of performers. There's dancers and singers, and they have a ratio of 3 to 2. However, 3 plus 2 doesn't get us 30, right? We need to figure out some multiple, some factor of it. And so we're going to multiply both by x here, which is the total number of performers. So now we can solve this particular equation. 5x equals 30, x equals 6. And then when we substitute this 6 back into these expressions, we can then figure out how many total of each, right? So we know that the dancers are 3 times 6, so there are 18 dancers. And for the singers, there's 2 times 6, which is 12, right? So there are 18 dancers and 12 singers. Right, double checking that, if I do 18 plus 12, ends up with 30. So we know we did that correctly then. Here we've got some proportions to solve. All right, so here we're going to apply that cross multiplication. Sometimes it's really helpful to grab a highlighter so that you can organize your math. So here we're going to do 5 times x first, and then 4 times 30. Now we evaluate and clean up and solve. So 5 times x is as simple as that one gets, but 4 times 30 is 120. Divide by 5 both sides. Turns out to be 24. Next one over here, still the same process. We still have two ratios set equal to each other. We're still going to cross multiply. So I've got this 8 times this 5. And next we have y plus 1 times 20. Now with this y plus 1 times 20, we have to be a little bit more careful. The y plus 1 should be in parentheses. Okay? So once we got that cross multiplication done, now we can actually solve for our y. And so it turns out y is 1. Now in this particular problem, right, they give us this is what we call an extended proportion, okay? Find the measures of AC and XY. So knowing that these proportions are true, I'm going to then substitute the values that I know in hopes that I can set up a proportion that I can solve to get XC and XY here. So AB is 4. XY, I do not know. BC is 3. YZ is 9. AC, I do not know. And XZ is 15. So in this extended ratio, we can see we have one completed ratio or fraction, and we have a fraction with one of the pieces we're looking for and another fraction with the piece that we're looking for here. So we'll solve for xy first, side xy first. I'm going to rewrite that proportion. We've got 4 over xy, and we're going to set that equal to the fraction that is complete here. So in this particular problem, it's the 3 over the y. And we've just followed that cross multiplication process all over again. So I'm going to get 3 times 3 xy, 4 times the 9, and then solve this equation for xy here. So 3xy equals 36. Xy turns out to be 12. If I want to try to figure out what AC is, so again, I'm going to set up that particular one. And set it equal to the fraction that I aware that is complete. Again, follow that cross multiplication process. We got 3 times 15. And AC times 9. Evaluate and solve. And our answer is AC is 5, XY is 12. So that'll complete our lesson on ratio and proportions. Make sure you complete that summary.